Hello and welcome to the start of a new reading vlog. I have just finished doing my other reading vlog that I recently posted. I will have it linked, of reading all the books that you all recommended to me. I had so much fun doing that video and reading books that were completely out of my comfort zone, that were not typically things that I would have picked up. It was just a lot of fun. I read some pretty good books, and this time I figured I'm just going to mood read books that I think I'm going to give 5 stars to, and I don't really know what books I'm going to be reading in this vlog, so I'm not gonna start off like I do my other ones telling you about what I plan on reading, just because I'm going to be mood reading. Whatever I'm in the mood for that I think I'm going to give 5 stars, those are the books I'm going to be reading in this video. I will probably just do 5 of them like I usually do, but I do know the book that I'm going to be starting off this reading vlog reading, and that is going to be Tradwife by Saratoga Schaefer. This one was on my most anticipated releases of 2026, and my hold from the library just recently came in, and I have been dying to read a really good horror book lately, and I'm really excited for this one. So from what I know about this one, from the brief synopsis that I read when this book was announced, is that this one follows our main character, who is a Tradwife influencer, and she has been with her husband for a few years now, and all of her followers and stuff are wondering when she is going to have a baby, because as is traditional of Tradwives, they are usually having a big family. So our main character is trying to convince her husband to get her pregnant, and I don't know if he either can't get her pregnant or doesn't want to, but for some reason she doesn't end up getting pregnant, and so she ends up making this deal with a demon in order to have this demon impregnate her so she can live this life that she wants to live. And I'm really intrigued by the premise of this one. I kind of don't know what the horror element is going to be and how horrifying it is supposed to be, or if this one's just supposed to be a campy fun kind of horror, but either way I'm very intrigued. I really like the cover of this one, and so I cannot wait to start it. But that is what we are going to start this reading vlog out reading. Alright, I want to say that this vlog isn't starting off the best only because I'm filming my next clip after I finished the first book. I really wanted to update you guys at the 50% mark, but yesterday I had my first midterm, and then I just wasn't feeling good, so I didn't want to record, and then I finished the book still. But it is good news because I have read Tradwife by Saratoga Schaefer, and it is my first 5-star read of 2026. This book was absolutely phenomenal. I am in shock. I am in awe. This book was so gross. It was something. It was definitely not what I was expecting, but in the best way. Everything about this book I absolutely adored. And this author actually has another 2 books coming out later in 2026. I will definitely be adding those to my TBR immediately. And then this author also has a previous book that came out in 2025. I will also be adding that one to my TBR because this one was phenomenal. I have to read more things by this author. But okay, let me try and get my feelings across coherently about this book. So Tradwife is a horror book, and it is following our main character Camille, and she is someone who is sort of an upcoming influencer in the Tradwife space. If you are unaware of what a Tradwife is, it's basically a traditional wife. They have sort of the farm home aesthetic where it's stay-at-home moms who are always cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, and usually they are the kind of people who promote certain eating habits of eating only homemade food, clean food. They also are sort of the people who are very much against vaccinations, things like that. Just the very conservative kind of stay-at-home mom kind of aesthetic that has recently gained a lot of popularity on the internet. But yes, Camille is our main character. She's a Tradwife. She is mainly posting on Instagram and stuff, where she's having pictures of her life that are very aesthetic and curated, and she only has a couple thousand followers. But there's this one really big influencer that she follows who she's very much obsessed with, and she tries to replicate her life to look as close to this other woman's life as possible. But every time she posts a photo recently, she is getting comments regarding her having a child. She is married to this guy. They've been married for a few years now, and they don't have a kid. And obviously, one of the biggest points of being a trad wife is having kids. So Camille really wants a child. She has all these dreams about having a child so that she can take photos of them, videos, post them online. She's sort of someone who wants kids just for the aesthetic. And yes, when I told you guys about the synopsis of this book, I think I said I had no clue why her husband couldn't or wouldn't get her pregnant, and I don't want to spoil the reason why, but basically, Camille and her husband, his name is Graham, they are not intimate with each other very often in any sort of way that could get her pregnant. And so that is when Camille decides to, she doesn't make a deal with a demon, she actually makes a wish on a penny and throws it into this well that's behind her house. And yeah, she ends up getting with this creature who is inferred to be a demon who ends up getting her pregnant. And yeah, I'm not spoiling anything when I say this, so don't worry. I'm not going to be spoiling any books in this reading vlog, but this book was so great. It set up basically the before she gets pregnant section, and then we have basically her 3 trimesters that she goes through, and then motherhood when she actually has this child. And I was not expecting this book to have so much body horror. I love body horror and horror, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the first time I've ever read a book where there were certain scenes in it that were so gross I physically had to stop reading and go watch a funny video or something to not think about it. And for a horror book, that's exactly what I want a horror book to do. I want to be horrified and grossed out. And a lot of the horror in this book is, of course, pregnancy horror, and that she is giving birth to a non-human child, and so her pregnancy looks very different. And yeah, it's very interesting how this book is, because of course there's a lot of commentary and there is a lot of character growth within Camille, but through her entire pregnancy, even though she knows that something is wrong and she's hiding a lot of secrets, and she is basically still trying to curate her life to be as aesthetic as possible, even though she has a lot of certain symptoms that are physically showing on her, such as hair loss and things like that. She's just editing her photos more, spending more time to make them look as perfect as possible. And yeah, again, she has this obsession with this influencer that I don't want to go too much more into, but I just found this so fascinating. I love a good horror book that has commentary that is meaningful and impactful, and I also love body horror. So this book just combined my 2 favorite types of horror into one. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. I can't say that enough. I finished this book and I was just sitting there in awe. I was in awe of this book. I loved the way that it ended. It was so good. So yeah, even though this book wasn't what I was expecting at all, it was phenomenal. I'm so glad that 1, I had this on my anticipated releases, and 2, that I read it for this video because it was perfect. I got a 5-star read out of it. That's exactly what I wanted from this, was to just mood read books that I think were going to be 5 stars. And this was kind of just a wild card pick. I was just really in the mood to read it. I have been craving a horror, but again, I've never read anything by this author. I didn't know what to expect from the story. and it turned out to be perfect. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm really happy that I have my first 5-star read of the year. So even though we're like 2 months into 2026, I'm filming this at the very end of February, I finally have a 5-star read, and that's amazing. So yeah, I would highly recommend this book, obviously. If you're looking for a wonderfully gross horror book, this is the one for you, because it's very creepy, it's very gross, it's very gory, but there's commentary. And so yeah, everything that I personally want, if that sounds up your alley, definitely check this one out. It was so good. I think the next book that I'm going to pick up, well, technically I've already started it, but the next book that I'm going to read for this video, I think is going to be Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Caffey, if I am pronouncing that or even remembering it correctly. I think that's the author's name. I don't know. I do own this one physically, I just don't have it with me at the moment, but I have read the first 2 chapters of this one, and it is a sci-fi book. I'm really intrigued by how this one is going, and the reason I've decided to put this one on this list, I wasn't originally going to. I was just going to read this just, I don't want to say for fun, because this whole video is for fun, but like when I picked this book up, I wasn't really in the mood for it. I was kind of just, I wanted to read another book while reading Tradwife, just because Tradwife is one I had the ebook of, and I always like to have an ebook and a physical book going. But yeah, I read the first 2 chapters of this one and I was hooked. So I think this is the one that I'm just going to be mood reading for this video, which is very helpful, I guess. But this is a sci-fi one. The first chapter starts off where this woman is waking up out of this like cryopod type thing. She's missing a leg. There was like this whole space incident that she's just barely remembering, of this like space attack that happened between her space station and another one. And so she wakes up in the ship, except it's the enemy ship, not the one that she was on originally. And so she has no clue how she got there, but this enemy ship is empty, except for like this AI voice who runs this whole ship and everything. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on and all that, but that was chapter 1. Chapter 2 is following another character, and I believe it takes place before the events of chapter 1, but I'm unsure of what the timeline is so far, but I'm pretty sure, because we are following this guy who is graduating, I believe, from like this space academy, and then they get news that this war has broken out, which is why I think it takes place before chapter 1, and yeah, that's kind of it. But I do love a good political sci-fi, so I'm really interested in this one. I love the writing of it so far, so even though I'm only like 5 or 6 pages in, I'm intrigued. So that'll probably be the next one that I read. However, I don't know when I will update you guys about that one again, just because it is a thicker one, and yeah, I might read something else as like an ebook or audiobook before I finish that one, but we'll see. I don't really know. I will keep you guys updated, but so far this is going great. Sorry for cutting my opinion short on Tradwife. I feel like my opinions at the 50% mark would have been great, just because 50% of that one, that's where a lot of stuff was picking up. But either way, I will update you guys again later. It has been a little while since I last updated you guys. I'm currently in the middle of midterm week, and it's really taken it out of me. I'm really tired, but I have read some stuff and I want to talk to you guys about it. So I am still working my way through Velocity Weapon. I think I was like briefly talking to you guys about this one, but you know, I'm almost done. I think I have like 70 pages left. But now that I'm a little more into it, I can tell you guys more about what this one is all about and like actually give you a good synopsis. So this is a sci-fi space opera type of book, and we're following mainly these 2 characters. We have Sandra and Byron, and they are brother and sister. Sandra was this gunnery, like spaceship person. She was on the front lines of this space war, and Byron has become a keeper. When Sandra left for this war, he was still like going through his training and everything to become a keeper, but keepers are like these people who get like this chip implanted into their heads, and that chip is sort of like a key to these space gates. And so yeah, when I originally talked to you guys about this book, Sandra had woken up in this enemy spaceship that is controlled by AI, and it's an emergent AI where it is basically semi-conscious of its actions. It's very human-like, and it basically grows like as a human would, and like mental development kind of stuff. And so Sandra wakes up on this enemy ship, and she's told a lot of information. And I don't want to go into it because I don't want to spoil anything, but Byron, he is back on their home planet, and he has become a keeper, and he is looking for his sister who has gone missing. Again, there's like these two warring planets that don't get along. That's what this war was. So Byron is, of course, looking for his sister. He's moving up the ranks very quickly, and this book is very twisty, turny. I'm really enjoying that, and just like the whole process of not knowing what's real and what's not. I really like that element to it. So we do get other perspectives in this story as well, just not as predominant. One of them is Jules, and she's living in like the slums of the same planet that, like the same kingdom or whatever, that Byron and Sandra are from, and she kind of has like her own little plot going on that I'm still unsure how it fully connects with the rest of the story, but she's doing like all these like legal like space journeys to like find illegal items, and she ends up finding something related to the keepers, and yeah, she has like her own plot going on. I don't want to get too much more into that. We also get the perspective of, I think her name's Callie. She's like the news anchor for this world, and again, I also have no clue why we really get her point of view. They're like interlude chapters in here where we get her point of view, but I'm really intrigued by all of that. Again, this is only the first book in the series. I will say that after 200 pages, the action really picks up. However, now where I am in the story, it's definitely slowed down. And the pacing, I think, is the biggest problem this book has, because while I'm interested, the pacing just throws me off. I will get like really excited about certain things happening, and then it'll start dragging out. And so right now I'm sitting at like a 3.5 star rating. So sadly, this is probably not going to be another new favorite, but I am still enjoying my reading of it. It's just like, I don't know. We'll see how it ends and if I want to continue the story, but that is my little update on this one. I have, however, finished a couple more books, and one of those books was 5 stars. These books are Sweat and Soap volumes 8 through 11, and I'm going to talk about them all as one, but the only one of these 4 that I read recently, I gave 5 stars, and that was volume 11. And I'm just going to talk about them all together because they're all part of the same series, and again, I can't really talk about much that goes on in them without spoiling the series, so I'm just going to talk about this series as a whole. But I decided to sort of binge read the end of the series. I've been working on this series for a while now and just for some reason have never finished it, but I love this series so much. But again, it's midterms and I've been very stressed, so I wanted something easy and light and fluffy to read, and that is this series. Is this series a little weird? Yeah, it is. The whole premise of this series is it's a romance, it's an adult romance, workplace type vibes. But our main character, Asako, she is someone who, she works at this company and she's in the accounting department, but she sweats a lot, and that's like one of her biggest traits. It sort of defines a lot of her life. She's very insecure about it. She's constantly taking bathroom breaks to sort of wipe up her sweat and all that stuff. And then of course our other main character, Notori, he is like the product designer of these soaps, and basically he just has a really good nose, and he ends up falling in love with the way she smells. And that is kind of the premise of how these two characters meet, which is a little weird. It's a little goofy at times. But like in general, this is probably the most mature relationship I've ever seen portrayed in a story before. It's, again, they work at the same company. The premise is a little weird, but overall, each volume is focusing on sort of a different aspect of their relationship. All 11 volumes are following the relationship and how it progresses, and it's just so cute and heartwarming. Overall, I would give the series like a 4-star in general. I think my lowest rated volume, I gave 3 stars, and then of course I've had a couple 5 stars in the series, one of them being volume 11, which I recently read. But yeah, this series is just so cute. We get them talking about like moving in and the ups and downs of people moving in, living with your partner, different like things of having like tough conversations about like jealousy and how they want to portray their relationship in public, and like different family dynamics. I just really love this series so much. Volume 11, again, that's the one I gave 5 stars. This one both made me so happy and so sad. Not like sad in like a bad way, but like sad in a happy way. Like I was sad it was ending. It was such a great volume and like the end of a series, and it did have me tearing up a little bit. The last volume is of their marriage, and yeah, it was just a great ending to a series. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, that's like the highlight of my life recently. I think it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since the last time I updated you guys, because that was back in February and we're like in the middle of March now, which is crazy. But yeah, I've read some good books. I've read some bad books. We're not going to talk about the bad ones that I read because I want this to be a happy, positive vlog. That's all I have to update you guys on currently. I will update you guys again when I finish Velocity Weapon, and then we will see what else I feel like reading for this vlog. I have recently gotten like a lot of arcs approved on NetGalley for some of my most anticipated releases, so maybe I'll pick one of those up. I don't know, we'll have to see. But spring break is also very soon. I have, again, my last final today, and then tomorrow I do have class, like in person and stuff, and then like I'm off for spring break, and that is very exciting. I don't really have any plans for it, but I can definitely read a lot, so yeah, I will keep you guys updated with what I decide to do. It's been hours later. I have changed. I'm much more tired than I was at the beginning of the day when I first filmed the last clip that you guys saw. I have since finished Velocity Weapon, but I kind of want to rant to you guys a little bit about my exam that I just took. And then I'll update you guys about how I felt about Velocity Weapon, because it's kind of all tied in a weird way. But recently I was talking to my friend about generative AI, as you do in this time of being alive, where AI is everywhere. And I was talking to her about this survey that my school had put out, and that survey was all about how students felt about AI being used in school. Not from like the students' point of view, which I feel like everyone has already talked about, like students using AI to do homework and whatever. I feel like it's been a very oversaturated conversation. But no, my survey for my school was asking about how students felt about AI being the one to teach them, in a sense. Is asking like questions, how do you feel about if AI was the one making your lesson plan or grading your assignments or giving you feedback on your essays? And it's very sad to think about going to college, paying thousands of dollars to be taught by professionals in your field, just for the school to use AI to do all that stuff, and how that'd just be getting rid of jobs for teachers. I bring this up because my midterm that I took today was for me to write an essay, and it was on a topic that what we didn't know until, we took the exam or whatever. And it was on AI, and it was pretty much like a case study where we had to basically argue why a company should use AI and replace its employees with AI. And this is a class that's for something I am majoring in. Like, it's not like one of like the general education classes. Like, this one is specifically for my major, and there's something so disheartening about going to a school that's obviously in some way trying to implement AI into its teaching in some way, but then to also have to defend generative AI usage, because that's what this company was using it for. It's disheartening to say the least, to spend all this money going to school for something that you want a job in, just to know that you're arguing against your own self having a job, basically. And that was never something I ever thought I would have to write an essay about. Like, obviously we know that AI is taking over jobs, and I'm not going to say that it was for a specific job that I want, even though that's obviously a big possibility. It is something directly related to my field of study. And yeah, I don't know. I I definitely have some mixed emotions about that. And also, in a previous class, I did have to use generative AI specifically for an assignment. Like, that was the assignment itself, was to use generative AI. And I'm specifically saying generative AI because I do know that there is a very big difference between AI and generative AI in the way that the systems work and the different consequences it has on our world, obviously. I do know that what I'm going to school for, like, has so many job openings. I know it's like a very big career, but like AI, it's creeping in, and it's definitely hard to look at getting a potential job knowing that in like a few years it could be gone. So yeah, all that to say, I finished Velocity Weapon, and I say it's kind of connected because I do want to talk about the AI that's in this book. I know I like briefly talked about how Sandra in this book, she wakes up on an enemy ship that's like powered by AI, and the AI in this is very different from what us in reality currently have. But it's interesting to think about if this is like where AI is headed. So this spaceship that Sandra is on, its name is Bureau, and he is an emergent personality AI, which is basically an AI that is built to have human emotions and to basically grow up with like a human consciousness in a way. So in this book, Bureau, he is like a brand new spaceship. He's like the top of his line for technology. He's like the most advanced of this emergent personality AI. And so during this book, they are using him as a war spaceship, and that obviously has some effect on him because he's like a baby in a sense, and like his consciousness, his emotional regulation, all of that. And so being forced to be used as a weapon, it takes a toll on him. And there's lots of conversations that he has with Sandra regarding what it's like to have this consciousness and to know that you are your own person, and to yet be stuck still not having full control over who you are and what you're doing. And I just thought that was a very interesting conversation. Overall, this book I'm giving 3 stars. I didn't care for the ending, honestly. I was very, not necessarily bored by the ending. Like, you could definitely say that there was some sort of cliffhanger, but again, the pacing, it was lacking. Like, things were happening, and yet it felt like they weren't. Nothing really felt like there was a rush or anything, even though the things that were happening were clearly things being done in a rush. Like, I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to spoil the ending of this one, but I was just expecting a little more from this one. The way it ends doesn't exactly make me want to be like, oh my gosh, I need to read the second book. I didn't get those feelings from this. And yeah, so I'm giving it 3 stars. I was really hoping the ending would pull through and like make this a 4-star book at least, so that I feel like it has a reason for being in this vlog. But instead, this is just like a 5-star prediction that kind of just flopped. I could see myself continuing the series, but I could also see myself just like forgetting about this book in a week and then never really caring to continue the series. So we'll kind of just see how I feel. I don't know. Maybe I'll see how people rated book 2 and if it's like worth continuing the series. But right now I don't really care. I do like the characters. I do like this world and this very like political system that was set up. But overall, like there's just something lacking about it. Like I know I talked about the pacing. That was like a big thing for me in this book, but other than that, there was just I wanted something a little more from this. We also do have a couple points of views that I still don't understand the full necessity of them. And I am someone who definitely needs to know that the switch in perspective has a reason. And one of the perspectives we do sort of see a connection, and then there's one where I still just don't think it was necessary. And again, that causes like these pacing issues where it's like we switch to a new perspective and it doesn't really have much of a point or an effect or like add something to the story. So yeah, I don't know. That's my opinions on this book. Again, still have no clue what I'm in the mood to read. I do have 2 friends that I will be starting a buddy read with, 2 different books. Both of them are romance books. So like I'll be reading both of those very soon. I just don't know if I want to include them in this vlog or not. One of them is a romance book that's definitely not something I typically read. It's something like I would only buddy read with her because that's like what she likes reading, and I just like being a part of buddy reads and talking to my friends about books. The other one is something like a romance that I'm much more likely to read. However, it's not by an author that I'm familiar with. I haven't heard of the book before. I don't know the synopsis. So like I don't want to say like I think it's going to be a 5-star because I don't know anything about the book. And that's a queer historical romance. It was specifically like a medieval romance. I'll have the cover up on the screen somewhere because I don't know the name off the top of my head, but that is one that I will definitely be reading. I just don't know if it'll be for this vlog. Maybe I will read the first couple of chapters of this one, and if I think it'll be a 5-star, I'll include in this vlog, and if not, I don't know, you'll just see it in one of my monthly wrap-ups or something. But yeah, this was a very rambly clip. Thank you for sitting through my little AI rant. Yeah, I'm excited for spring break. I need a break, but I will update you guys when I have finally decided on something to read. Alright, I know what book I'm going to read next for this vlog, and that is You May Forget Me, I believe is the title, by Mazey Eddings. And this is one of the arcs that I got that I'm really excited about. I really love Mazey Eddings' books. I've loved all of them except for one of them. And by love, I mean I've given all of them but one 5 stars. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. This is a sapphic romance, and it starts off, all I read last night was the prologue of this one, so I don't know too much, but the prologue is I think 5 years in the past, and it is following Cubby and Darcy, I believe is her name, and they are best friends, and Cubby is about to go out with her boyfriend, and she believes that he is going to kiss her, and this is going to be her first kiss. And so her and her best friend practice kissing, and yeah, that was the prologue. Now chapter 1 is starting 5 years later in the present. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I did start my buddy read with my friend, and I made it 11% into that one, but I just don't think it's going to be 5 stars, so I'm not going to include it in that vlog. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that little update since I did mention it. But yeah, right now I'm going to my nail appointment, which I'm really excited about, and then afterwards is my last class, and then I'm on spring break, so I'm really excited. Also, I plan on going to the library after class because I have some books to return, and also I just like going to the library. I really don't need to because I don't need any more books to read, but that is the plan. I'm back in my car. I got my nails done. They're a light pastel green with like a pink chrome on it, but I don't think you can like tell that there's like a chrome on it. But yeah, it's all springy and cute. I really love it. But my class got canceled, so that's cool, I guess. It was just a review class, so it's not like I'm really missing too much, but it is very hot My car's reading that it's 98 degrees outside. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the library now, I guess. Earlier than expected, but you know, we can't complain about that. And yeah, I don't know, I guess I'll take you guys along with me for that, see what books I get. I don't really have anything planned that I want to specifically get, so we're just going there for vibes. It's pouring down rain, and I really hope you guys can't hear that because I really don't want to film this again. It is the next day, but the little clip that I filmed where I was telling you guys what books I got from the library, it didn't come out good. So I'm refilming it. Again, sorry if you can hear that it's absolutely pouring outside. I can't really do anything about that, but I wanted to tell you guys about the 3 books that I ended up picking up, mainly because Natural Beauty is one that I've had on my TBR for a while, and I really want to read this one, and I think I want to read it for this vlog. It is a bit of a shorter book, and yeah, I will tell you guys more about this one when I actually start reading it and decide for sure if I want it to be in this vlog. But I did get this one and I'm really excited about it. Starter Villain is one I mentioned in my last vlog where I was reading books that you all recommended to me, and this is one that I had originally wanted to read for that vlog, but the hold was absolutely insane for this book, and my library finally has a copy. My ebook and audiobook, I still have a holdout for those and they haven't come in, but you know, I have the physical book, so I do want to try and read this book eventually sometime soon. And then I got Gabriella and His Grace, which is a historical romance. I know absolutely nothing about this book and I've never seen it around before, but this cover just looks absolutely gorgeous, so I wanted to pick it up. And yeah, those are the 3 books I got from the library. I am still making my way through You Won't Forget Me by Mazey Eddings. I'm 20% of the way through that one so far, and I am still really loving it. It definitely has Mazey Eddings' like signature humor. I have chuckled already in this book, which I love. I love a good rom-com that actually makes me laugh. I don't know if I've already told you guys that our main character, Cubby, she ends up getting with this guy who is one of her bandmates, and they've been on like this on again off again relationship, and they end up breaking up for good after he ends up leaving the band behind their back and getting like this big record label. And so now he's doing like all this tour and like all these press tours and stuff where he's basically saying like untrue bad things about her and sort of using their like relationship that was never really great as a way to publicly boost himself and to put her down. And so that's a lot about what this book so far is dealing with, is how the band is now coping with losing one of their members and that member getting super famous, and for their super small band to have all this negative press around them. And yeah, so far I'm still really liking it. I'm interested to see how it goes and see how the sapphic relationship plays out, but yeah, I also wanted to give you guys that little update. I think this is going to be the chillest vlog clip that I have ever filmed. It is the first day of spring break, and as you might be able to hear, it's absolutely pouring outside, so sorry about that. I think it was also raining in the last clip that I did, maybe. It's been raining a lot here, but yeah, my first day of spring break. It's 30 degrees outside. I was really hoping to go to the pool or the beach or something over this week, but you know, a cold front happened, so it is what it is. I think later this week, like Thursday, Friday, it might get warm enough in the afternoon where I could like hang out outside at like the pool or something. So I'm still holding out hope for that, but we're just having a chill little time here. I have spent this entire day deep cleaning everything in my house just because it's spring break, spring cleaning, all of that stuff, and I'm very tired. So I kind of just want to sit in my bed, read, chillax, but I figured I would still update you guys because I did finish the book that I was reading, which was You Won't Forget Me by Mazey Eddings. And this is a book I ended up giving 4 stars to. I really enjoyed it. It was very different, I would say, to other books by this author. This is a lot less of a rom-com and much more of a serious toned sort of romance. It is a very, very messy book, I will say that. It's following this band, and I think I already told you that the main like singer of the band, Cubby, she's our main character that we're following, and she had this like on and off again relationship with this guy. I'm not even gonna lie, I already forgot his name, but he was also in their band until he left, sort of blindsided the whole band by leaving and getting like this big break and became super famous. And he wrote a song about how bad Cubby is in bed, and so she's sort of going through a lot of emotions because she has this sort of also rise to fame in that a lot of people know who she is and doesn't like her because they like this singer dude who is famous, and obviously he's singing about not liking her. So there's a lot of this like fame aspect to this book. But a photo goes viral of Cubby making out with one of her other bandmates, and because of this they end up having this like fake dating relationship in order to boost their band up and to keep people talking about them. And because of this like whole fake dating scheme, it really does a lot of like mental damage to Cubby because she already has depression, and she's very much being like harassed online where everyone's commenting on her relationships, on her. She's just there to make music. She never wanted any of this to happen, but as with fame, you don't really get to decide that. And through this, you know, she's having these complicated feelings because she's having feelings for her best friend, who is another one of her bandmates. And so she's now questioning her sexuality. This is a sapphic romance, and the relationship between them doesn't actually happen until the 80% mark. In the prologue and like the very first chapter, we do get them making out and hooking up in a best friends kind of way. At least that's what both of them are telling themselves, that it's just them being best friends and, you know, teaching each other how to kiss and all that. And so for this being a romance and for the romance to not actually happen to the 80% mark is very different from all of this author's other works. I have read every single book by this author, and I think like 5 of them, I think there's 7 in total. I think 5 of them I've rated 5 stars. I absolutely love this author, and I love what this author was doing with this book. And as much as I had wanted more of the romance and more of their like developing feelings, I also think this author just did a really good job with these characters, and specifically Cubby, because she is our main character who we are reading from. Her and her depression and the way she is becoming obsessive over like reading comments about what people are saying to her, I just really felt for her. I think she is such a relatable character. Like, character development for her was 10 out of 10, absolutely amazing. I definitely don't know if I would recommend this book as a romance. It's, again, a very messy sort of book, very messy characters and relationship dynamics. The romance is really cute, but again, I feel like it's not really the main part of the story, so recommending it as a romance feels kind of off. But again, I did rate it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. This book doesn't actually come out until June 26th, or somewhere in June. Definitely in June, but I really loved it, so yeah. And today, while I was cleaning everything, I did start listening to the audiobook of Natural Beauty, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I have no clue if this is going to be a 5-star or not. I'm definitely flying through it. I'm listening to it on 2 times speed, and I'm already like halfway through it. I think I'm 56% of the way through it, to be exact. I can definitely finish it today if I really wanted to, which we're gonna see what kind of reading mood I am in. But this book is following our main character, who used to be like this piano prodigy. Her parents are very poor. They immigrated from China to the US in order to obviously give her like these better opportunities. She was on this track to become like one of the world's like greatest piano players. However, after one of her concerts, her parents end up getting into an accident, and because of this, she decides not to play piano anymore. And so she's sort of just like looking for any job to sort of pay her rent. You know, she's living in New York City, very expensive, and she ends up getting this job. I forget what it's called. It's some very fancy like spa place. I just forget the name of it, but they do a lot of experimental beauty treatments, and she's now working here, and I'm unsure if there's going to be like body horror or anything, but there's definitely a lot of weird scientific experiments going on. They're using a lot of animals and bugs in their different procedures, and specifically our main character, she is Asian. Her parents, like I said, came from China, and the procedures that are being done to her are changing her features from like her black hair. It's starting to lighten up and get more like blonde in it. Her eyes are changing and having like more blues and greens in them. And she recently learned, like where I'm at in the book, that the other people that she works with, she thought she was like the only Asian person. When she got hired, she like made a comment being like that she was a diversity hire. She recently learned that all of them are Asian, and that these procedures have just changed their like features so much that they just look like white blonde women. And it's just a lot of interesting conversations around the beauty industry and just like beauty standards in general. But our main character specifically, she is very much someone who wants to fit in. She was someone who never really had any friends. She spent all her time doing piano. When she went to school for piano, she never made friends there, and people hated her because she had all the attention of the teachers, and so she was just never like liked or had any attention. And now that she works at this fancy spa, like strangers and stuff care more about her and like want her opinions on things. All of her coworkers want to spend time with her, and so she's doing a lot to fit in and isn't really thinking further into these beauty treatments. But we have started to see some like sprinkles of some of this like hidden secrets that this place has, and I'm just really interested in it. This is a novella. It's very short. I don't exactly know how many pages. I don't have the physical book in the room with me, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm very intrigued to see where this one goes. Again, I went into this one without knowing anything about it. I've seen it recommended a lot around places in reference to like other books that I really love, so it's always just been on my radar, but never something I've actually like looked into. And so yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this one goes, but I did just want to give you guys that update on what I'm reading. This is the last book that I'm reading for this vlog, but I am hoping to maybe just do like more weekly vlogs. I do kind of miss doing weekly vlogs. I know I said I was going to cut down on them and do like more challenge vlog kind of videos, but I do kind of just miss vlogging, so we'll see how that goes or what I actually decide to do. But that is my little update for now. Alright, it's the next day and I have finished Natural Beauty by Ling Huang, which is the last book that I'm reading for this reading vlog, and I'm going to give this one a 3.5 star rating. I really liked what this book was doing and what it was commenting on regarding beauty standards and women's autonomy, and this book just touched on a lot of like very important topics. However, while I enjoyed this book, I was sort of expecting it to lead up to this big event, and there was this sort of cataclysmic event at the end that had like a big effect on everything. It wasn't written in the kind of way that was like explosive or life-changing or shocking like while I was reading it, and like I just didn't get anything out of the ending besides this character learning what was really going on in this place that she was working. So I kind of just wanted more from the end, and I think this book is beautifully written. like I was entertained and so invested in the story right from the beginning. I wanted to know what was going on and how our character was going to handle everything that was happening. But yeah, the ending just kind of really let me down. I will say the audiobook of this one was so good. I would definitely recommend the audiobook if you want to read the story. It was just really good and really well produced. But yeah, I've decided to give this one 3.5 stars. But I feel like this was such a wonderful like reading time for me of just mood reading books that I think are going to be 5 stars and just talking about books that I'm really excited to talk about and that I really want to enjoy. So obviously the very first book that I talked about, Trad Wife, I gave 5 stars. Phenomenal, absolutely amazing book. I also gave Sweat and Soap Volume 11 5 stars, which I didn't talk about too much because again it's the 11th in the series, but this was just a fantastic volume to end the series off with. I loved it so much and would highly recommend this series if you're looking for a fun manga to pick up. And then I did give Velocity Weapon 3 stars. This is obviously one that I own physically and I was really hoping to love this one. Obviously, I thought all of these books were going to be 5 stars, but this one I was just in such a mood to read a sci-fi and I was just really disappointed with this one. It's obviously still a very solid book. I gave it 3 stars, but I had higher expectations for it. And then You Won't Forget Me, I talked about yesterday, but I did give it 4 stars and it was not what I was expecting. It was one of my most anticipated releases, but I still really loved this one as well. I just think this author is phenomenal and I will always read everything that she writes. And then Natural Beauty, which I gave 3.5 stars. Obviously, we just talked about it, but my average rating for these 5 books was a 4.1, which I think is wonderful. I have really needed this in my reading life to just remind myself that I do like reading and there are books out there that I do love. I feel like 2025 and the beginning of 2026 just haven't been the best reading wise for me. So yeah, I'm really excited with how this whole vlog went. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely let me know if I should continue doing these vlogs. I know vlogs that I do definitely don't get the most views versus like other videos on my channel, but I do really love doing them. And also let me know if you want more of like my life in these vlogs. I know this one I sort of talked about a lot of stuff, but I didn't really show you anything going on in my life, but let me know if you guys are interested in that part of vlogs. I know like a lot of booktubers also incorporate like lifestyle stuff into their vlogs, so let me know if you guys would like to see more of that in these videos. But yes, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. Let me know what you've been reading recently, if you've had any 5-star reads, because I would love to have some more 5-star recommendations from you all. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!